All right, then topic 3. So, if you're watching this podcast for the first time, whenever we have a new guest on for a one-on-one, I like to take them through the lightning round of questions. So, I'm going to ask Christian these questions here. He's going to answer with the first thing that comes to his head, and he can
So we're at
elaborate.
18-12.
He can elaborate as much as he would like to on the answers if he wants. Christian, you ready?
Yeah.
All righty. Don't worry, nothing too bad. All right, first one. What is your favorite color?
Red.
Okay.
Yeah. Never mind. I felt like an instinct of like, oh, I gotta elaborate
I
on
mean,
it
if you
now.
want to, you don't have to.
No. Okay, I'll keep that one short. Just
Okay.
yeah, red. Red.
Cats or dogs?
Oh wait. I'm gonna rewind.
Okay.
So
Whoop.
I'm gonna rewind. So red, and on the subject of red,
Mm-hmm.
I have a really, really bad habit
Okay.
of when I buy gear, sometimes I'll pick the more expensive one if it's red.
Nice.
Like the shoulder rig that I carry around that people will like see me at conventions with, they're like, "Oh, dude, that's a sick rig." I'm like, "Yeah, it's so versatile and so customizable." But in the back of my head, I'm like, "It's red," and they're like, "Dude, where'd you get it?" And I'm like, "I'm not gonna tell you because Amazon has a perfectly good one for $20. You don't want to know where I got mine because
Right. Then they're
just
like,
don't." I don't want to embarrass myself with like what I spent on this thing just because it was red.
hey, I had no blame there. Yellow chair for that exact same reason.
That's what's up.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Okay. Favorite game?
Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, the sadder the better. If you want me to love a game, make me cry, and that one does it 3 times because it's 3 stories in
Mm-hmm.
one. So.
Mm-hmm. Favorite movie?
Man, the first one coming to my head is Pan's Labyrinth by
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro. I don't know if it's my favorite movie of all time, but it's the first one that I was like, my Rolodex of films just started rolling,
Yeah.
and kind of like on Price is Right, and when I hit stop, it
Mm-hmm.
was on Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay.
It's a beautiful movie. It's foreign film, and I one of my aspirations is to make foreign films. Like that's like the big, if a million, well, actually, I was gonna say if $1 million drops in my lap, but like you need to probably $200 million for a good, feature film.
Right.
But yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. It's beautifully directed. Like I love that it's a 4 language film too, and it's got a lot of heart.
Nice. Favorite type of music?
Man, that's a tricky one because I actually don't really listen to.
Oh, okay.
I'm such a podcast fiend. We had before I left Taco Deli, we had this new guy and he'd always be like, "Hey, so what are you listening to now, man?" And I'll be like, "Just podcasts."
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "I just don't know any music." Like I'm down with whatever music. Like if I'm sitting in someone's car and they put on classical, or country, rap, R&B, this or that, hard rock, classic rock, I'm usually down with whatever. I can usually find. Like I'm super easy to please when it comes to music. So, but more than anything, any time of day, I'm probably listening to podcasts. Like I have so many. But if I had to pick a few favorites, I'd say classical, and not just modern, not just like quote unquote mainstream classical, but like I like orchestrated music. So of course soundtracks, video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to get into like the non-classical side of things, I've found myself really gravitating towards like synth pop,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
like electronic kind of chill wave stuff. That's kind of if anything, as far as music genre goes lately, that's kind of what I've been starting to lean towards, if anything.
Cool. Oh, I'm into it, says lady. There you go. Okay, so the next question's favorite song, but I'll switch that to favorite podcast.
Man, there's so many. That's like there's so many podcasts I listen to. They're all so good. Oh man, what's the one that I absolutely can't not? Okay, so I'm kind of cheating with this one.
Okay.
Okay, so are you? So there is a podcast called We're Alive,
Okay.
and it is actually a radio drama.
Hmm.
And I will say it's my favorite because I've revisited this show from beginning to end several times. Imagine like The Walking Dead, but instead of watching it on TV, you're hearing it through like in audio radio drama format.
Neat.
And Greg Miller is actually the one that got me onto it because he was a big fan of it, and when he was at IGN, he would always throw it on the podcast, like, "Hey man, I'm listening to We're Live, and you should check it out too." And he
Okay.
actually he made a guest appearance on that, actually.
Very cool.
But it's like it was this really great. It was a really well produced show, and it's like one of the first time I'd ever listened to a radio drama. You always hear about like back in the day, like War of the Worlds was on the radio, and people
Yeah.
would listen to that or tune into what was the other one, like Little Orphan Annie on the radio and stuff. So this was like my first time like getting to listen to something like that I could get invested in characters on a weekly basis, and only through like the imagination that, of listening to audio and having the images like populate in my head. Like that was like a really like special new experience for me.
Cool.
So I'm cheating. I'm not picking any of those other podcasts, but I listen to a lot. It's so hard for me to think of one right now. But
what was your dream job when you were a kid?
My dream job when I was a kid was to be a special effects artist for movies. Okay. So making CGI. When I was like 10 or something. Do you remember Movie Magic? Like when that would be on TV? Like back in the day, like on back in the day in like in the 90s. Actually, I don't even know how old.
25.
Okay. So maybe it was a little bit before your time, but they would, before YouTube, they would put like special features on TV. Like, hey, and I don't know, I'm speculating or using hypotheticals. Like I have the actual anecdote when I was a kid. Jurassic Park, I'm sure you're familiar with that. They were showing behind the scenes of that, and like, hey, look at this scene. Like, it's when the Tyrannosaurus like attacked, but it wasn't even there. It was all CGI, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. I want to do that. And that was like the first job I'd ever wanted as a kid. And then I learned that it requires a lot of math, and I'm not very good at math. And like, I don't know what I imagined would go into creating visual effects, but I knew it had to do with computers. And from very young, I was always interested in computers. But when I saw like that, just the geometry of the polygons creating the models and stuff like that, I was like, oh man, no, I ain't about that. No, never mind. But that was like the first thing I remember wanting to be as a kid.
Cool. If you could have any animal to be a pet, what would it be?
A Shiba Inu.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned like cats and dogs earlier, and my family has always like had cats growing up, and I've always wanted a dog, but in my adult life, I've only ever lived in houses or apartments where you could not have a dog.
Okay.
The weird thing about now is that I live in my own home, and I very much could have a dog here if I wanted, but Austin is a very dog responsible city. Like we treat dogs like royalty here, and people have made it abundantly clear that a dog needs a lot of care and a lot of attention, which right now I'm very nomadic. Like I move a lot, and obviously these gigs take me to different states and cities and stuff. And so right now, until I stabilize a bit more, I'm not going to get a dog yet. Because, I would want to do it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I've always found that Shibus, like, even before the whole Doge, the whole Doge thing, you know what I mean? And I hate that because, dude, before that, I always wanted a Shibu, and then they were always popular, but that like sent them to a new level of popularity. Yeah. Now they're so expensive now, and I understand. I know anyone who's listening is probably like, Christian. Like, obviously, you adopt. Don't there's so many, and I agree that dogs need a good home. And so I've actually been thinking about like maybe learning to, what do you call it when a dog needs a home, and so you have it for a little bit. What is that called?
Is that fostering?
I guess kind of. I'm thinking about fostering dogs for a bit, maybe. Because like I said, like since I do travel a lot more, like maybe obviously I have a plan is to do more research, but maybe since there's already an expectation that it's not going to be like for like a forever home or something like that, maybe that might be like a viable option. But as far as like just the ideal, like if I could go and get a dog right now, then I'd love to get a Shiba Inu. I'm really big into Japanese culture, and it would be great to like kind of have that one more connection to Japanese culture. And plus I just think they look they're so darn cute. Although I do hear that they're very stubborn. No. I hear they're pretty hard to train and hard to raise, but I don't care.
If you could meet one celebrity, who would it be?
Guillermo del Toro. He's the filmmaker that I mentioned earlier of Pan's Labyrinth, a few other things he's made before. To anyone who doesn't know, he did like Pacific Rim. Most recently, he's executive producing like that Scary Stories in the Dark movie. He usually does horror stuff, and I don't really watch a lot of horror, but he's one of the few filmmakers that kind of showed me like, hey man, like there's scary stuff out there, but if you look at it, like there's a lot of like very careful craft into creating these monster effects and into creating the lore for these monsters and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that's right. There's much more to this than meets the eye. And
Yeah.
I always find really interesting his philosophy when he's making films and stuff. So I would love to go meet him.
Nice. Favorite season?
Probably fall, because I like a little breeze, a little breeze, but not too hot, not too cold. And I think fall is mighty fun.
Favorite holiday?
New Year's, actually. A lot of people like that. New Year's is the biggest holiday in my family. Honestly, it's bigger than Christmas or anything like that. We all celebrate all the major holidays, but New Year's is the one time a year that all the family will make the time to get together from the different four corners of the wind. And so that's like my favorite, because that's when I get to see the most and catch up with more of my extended family.
Cool. What is a skill you wish you could have?
Animation, and I'm trying to learn it right now. Nice. I have a lot of aspirations to like direct, like I said, but that requires a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of that I'm not giving up on. But I feel like I can only let these stories exist in script form for so long. Like I've got all these scripts that I've got, and they're just stacked up and waiting for the time when I finally have the money or the time or the resources to make them happen. But I'm like, I got to put these. I need to do something with these. And so I really wanted to learn. So animation's something I've always admired. Of course, being an anime fan and seeing the behind the scenes of how carefully crafted these scenes happen. And so I figured it would be a good thing. Like I would get to learn a little bit more about this skill I've always admired, and also I would get some creative outlet of finally seeing some of my scripts realized in, even if it's crude, even if it's just stick figures. If I can get like these two little characters to walk side by side, then Mazel tov, I've created a short film.
Right.
I've done something with that story idea. So it's something I've always admired, and hopefully, I've been like just loading up on tutorials and stuff, and hopefully I can share something.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, and last one. What is a game you would like me to play?
I don't know what you've not played before. Have you ever played a Kingdom Hearts game?
Yes. Yeah, I've played all of them. I just started, I didn't just start 3. I'm going into Monsters, Inc. World. I skipped Birth by Sleep 2.2 and Dream Drop because I was like, I want to push through these, but I don't want to wait. Okay, fine. So I watched the...
You gotta play those.
I'll go back eventually. I was just like,
Man, but again, you got to remember that I'm not the game guy. Like, there's so many games I haven't played. What's something I would recommend? A good game that may have caught me by surprise. I mean, I'm assuming you've played Journey. Like, that's like my second favorite game.
I have not played Journey.
Whoa! Okay, that's totally my answer.
All right.
Do you have a PlayStation?
Yeah, I do.
Do you have the capability?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna immediately stop overhyping it, because there's always that danger of like, oh yeah, I mean, he told me it was the coolest thing this side of the Mississippi, and now it was nothing.
Yeah, I get you.
So I'm gonna rein it back. All I'm gonna say is that it's pretty short, it's pretty sweet, and it's very pretty, and and it's pretty hard to lose. So there's no stress there. Just go in, get your tea, it's got a fantastic soundtrack too. So beautiful. I spent like a summer in New York working like at a production headquarters, like as like an office assistant. And man, those are some pretty stressful days. And every morning riding the train to work, I would just throw on the Journey soundtrack, because it would just completely zen me out and get me, in the right state of mind for work that day.
Nice. Very cool.
So that's a good one to check out.
All right. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 41. My name is Bret. Today I was joined by Christian, a.k.a. PixelBrave. Christian,
Hello.
where can they check you out? Where can they hit you up and all that fun stuff?
I am everywhere you can imagine as PixelBrave. I'm most active on Twitter. So just give me a little follow there at PixelBrave, and you'll probably see links there to my other. I've started making alternate accounts. Like I have my anime account now too.
Okay.
For the anime show that I'm gonna be starting. Also, that's just where I can start putting more of like my anime responses and thoughts because I don't want to flood my main Twitter account with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also started a new an art Twitter account. So if people want to see like the art that I'm doodling, because like I said, like man, I want to get into animation. So first things first, I gotta get used to drawing again.
Yeah.
So learning to draw would be good if you want to animate. So I started putting like little paper napkin sketches like on that, and that can be found on Twitter at Chicano Sad Boy.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so make sure you go follow there. Remember, guys, you can watch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 like Lady in Wonderland and Boxy Brown are right now. Boxy, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Every first and third Saturday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can come out, hang with us, chat with us about the topics and all that fun stuff. If you can't catch it live, that's okay. You can catch it over on youtube.com. Search Enigma9011, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video at the end of the week. If you have any topics for us that you'd like us to discuss, you can always put it down in the comment section down below or join us on Discord and you can chat in that tab over there. And then last but not least, hashtag add you or this podcast is sponsored by the merch store. You can get all of your Enigma 911 swag over there, t-shirts, backpacks, cups, and more. Rep the brand, support us. That'd be greatly appreciated. Christian, thank you for being on the podcast. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, chat. We will see you guys later on to the next one. Bye.
Bye, chat. Thanks for tuning in.